I lost my house to a Bitcoin scam. Not just any house, man. The house where I grew up, where my dad taught me how to change oil in the driveway, where my mom used to make those amazing Sunday pancakes that I still dream about sometimes. All gone. You want to know the worst part? I thought I was being smart. I thought I was finally making moves, getting ahead for once in my life. But man, was I wrong about that. I'm Jake, and this is how I went from thinking I was some kind of crypto genius to sleeping on my brother's couch at 32 years old. And if you're sitting there thinking about putting your life savings into some hot new cryptocurrency opportunity, well, maybe you should hear this first. Because what happened to me, it's happening to people every single day. Smart people, good people, people who should know better. People just like you. 3 years ago, I was your typical working guy. Nothing special about me, really. I fixed cars at Jimmy's auto shop downtown, came home with grease under my fingernails, watched Netflix until I fell asleep on the couch. Same routine, 5 days a week. The money was okay. Not great, but okay. I could pay my bills, grab a six-pack on Friday nights, maybe take a girl out to dinner once in a while if I was feeling fancy. My dad left me the house when he passed away 2 years before all this started. It wasn't much to look at, honestly. 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, needed a new roof, and the kitchen was straight out of 1987. But it was mine, Completely paid off. No mortgage, no rent, just property taxes and utilities. I was proud of that house. Really proud. That's when the Bitcoin thing started getting crazy. You couldn't escape it. Every news channel, every social media post, every conversation at the shop. People were getting rich overnight. Or at least that's what it looked like. My neighbor Tony, this guy who couldn't even figure out how to use his smartphone properly, he comes over one day driving a brand new Silverado. I'm talking fully loaded, leather seats, the works. I asked him how he afforded it, and he just grins and says one word. Bitcoin. Said he bought some when it was around 10 grand, sold it when it hit 60,000. Made enough to pay off his truck and still have money left over for a vacation to Vegas. I'm standing there in my driveway, looking at my 12-year-old Honda Civic with the busted taillight, and I'm thinking, what if I could do that too? What if I could finally get ahead? I started small, real small. Put $500 into Coinbase just to see what would happen. Figured if I lost it, it wasn't the end of the world. $500 was like a weekend of overtime at the shop. Within a week, it was worth $600. $100 profit for doing absolutely nothing. I made more money sitting on my couch than I made in half a day of busting my knuckles on some guy's transmission. That got my attention real quick. So I started reading, staying up late, researching blockchain technology, market analysis, all that stuff. I watched YouTube videos, joined Reddit communities, followed crypto influencers on Twitter. I thought I was educating myself, being responsible about it. Really, I was just feeding my own addiction. I put in another 1,000, then another 500. Each time, the numbers kept going up. Bitcoin was on a tear, and I was riding it all the way to the moon. Or so I thought. I remember checking my phone every 5 minutes, during lunch breaks, in the bathroom, first thing when I woke up, last thing before bed. Those little green numbers became the most important thing in my world. The apps were always open on my phone. Coinbase, Binance, Crypto.com, all of them. I had price alerts set up for everything. My phone was buzzing constantly with notifications about market movements. And the crazy part? I was actually making money. Real money. 5,000 became 8,000. 8 became 12. 12 became 20. I'll never forget the day I hit $25,000. I was under the hood of some lady's Honda, replacing her alternator, and my phone buzzed with a price alert. I looked at the screen and just froze. $25,000. More money than I'd ever seen in my life. I told my boss I was sick and went home early. Spent the rest of the day staring at charts, reading analysis, calculating what would happen if I put more money in. What if I used my emergency fund? What if I took out a personal loan? What if I borrowed against the house? That's when I found Derek. Or he found me, I guess. I was active in this cryptocurrency forum, one of those places where people share trading tips and success stories. I'd posted about my gains, asking for advice on scaling up, and Derek reached out to me directly. He said he'd been watching my posts and was impressed with my trading instincts. Said I had potential, but I was thinking too small. He had this system, this method he called crypto arbitrage amplification. The way he explained it, you could borrow money to buy cryptocurrency, then trade the price differences between different exchanges. The borrowed money would multiply your gains. Instead of making 10%, you could make 50%. Instead of 50, you could make 200. Derek had screenshots of everything. His trading accounts, his profits, testimonials from other people he'd helped. He even got on video calls with me, showed me his portfolio in real time. $4.7 million. $4.7 million in cryptocurrency assets. He told me he started with just $15,000 2 years ago. Said he saw the same potential in me that he saw in himself back then. But I needed to stop playing small ball and start thinking like a real trader. He introduced me to margin trading, leverage, using borrowed money to amplify your positions. He showed me how to set up accounts on these advanced trading platforms, how to read the charts, how to time the market. My first leverage trade turned my $25,000 into $42,000 in 3 days. 3 days. I called in sick to work and spent the whole day staring at my computer screen, watching those numbers climb. $42,000. I started doing the math in my head. If I could make that much in 3 days, what could I make in a month? In a year? I started seeing myself differently. Not as Jake the mechanic, but as Jake the trader. Jake the investor. Jake the guy who figured out the system. Derek kept pushing me to think bigger. He said the real money was in DeFi, decentralized finance. Higher returns, cutting-edge technology, the future of money itself. He showed me this new platform, something called Crypto Vault Pro. It looked incredibly professional. Clean interface, detailed analytics, institutional-grade security features. They had partnerships with major banks, regulatory compliance certificates, even celebrity endorsements. Derek said he'd moved most of his portfolio there. Better yields, more sophisticated trading tools, access to exclusive investment opportunities that weren't available to regular retail investors. All I had to do was transfer my crypto assets over, and I'd immediately start earning 20% annual interest just for holding my coins there. Plus, access to their advanced trading algorithms that could potentially double or triple my returns. I moved everything. $42,000 worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Within a month, my account showed $68,000. $68,000. I quit my job. Just walked into Jimmy's office and told him I was done. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind, and maybe I had. But I was done getting my hands dirty for $40 an hour when I could make that much in a day trading crypto. I was going to be a millionaire. Derek said I was ready for the next level. He introduced me to something called real estate leveraging for crypto amplification. Basically, you could use your house as collateral to borrow money at low interest rates, then invest that money in high-yield crypto opportunities. He showed me case studies of people who'd done it, regular folks who'd turned their home equity into millions of dollars. A teacher from Ohio who borrowed against her house and made enough to retire early. A construction worker from Texas who leveraged his property and bought a yacht. All with the same strategy Derek was offering to teach me. The numbers were incredible. If I could borrow $200,000 against my house and invest it in the right opportunities, I could potentially make $2 million within a year. $2 million. I'd never have to work again. I could take care of my mom, buy a place on the beach, travel the world. I could be one of those success stories that other people read about online. I refinanced the house, took out a $200,000 mortgage at 4.5% interest. The bank was happy to do it because I had good credit, and the house appraised for more than I expected. I felt like I was making the smartest financial decision of my life. Derek was excited when I told him, said I was finally ready to play in the big leagues. He walked me through the investment strategy, showed me exactly how the money would be allocated across different crypto assets and DeFi protocols. The returns were going to be incredible. Conservative estimates put my annual return at 300%. Even if the market had a bad year, I'd still make at least 100%. I wired the entire $200,000 to Crypto Vault Pro. My account balance showed $268,000 total. Derek said we needed to move fast to take advantage of a special opportunity. A new cryptocurrency that was about to launch, backed by major tech companies and venture capital firms. Early investors could get in at a massive discount before it went public. He said spots were limited and the window was closing fast. If I wanted to secure my position, I needed to convert all my assets to this new coin within the next 24 hours. I trusted Derek completely. He'd been right about everything so far. My account balance had been growing steadily, and I was making more money than I'd ever imagined possible. I converted everything. All $268,000 went into something called Next Gen Coin. Derek said we'd made it just in time. The coin was going to launch in 3 months, and early investors like me were going to see massive returns when it went public. All I had to do was wait. The first warning sign was when Derek stopped responding to my messages as quickly as he used to. I'd send him a question about my investment, and instead of getting back to me within minutes, it would take hours, sometimes a full day. When he did respond, his messages were shorter, less detailed. He seemed distracted, like he was handling a lot of different things at once. I figured successful guys are busy. No big deal. The second warning sign was when I tried to check my account balance on Crypto Vault Pro. The website was running slowly, and sometimes it wouldn't load at all. When I asked Derek about it, he said they were upgrading their servers to handle increased demand. Growing pains from success, he called it. The third warning sign was when I tried to withdraw some money, just $5,000. I wanted to take my mom out for a nice dinner, maybe buy her something special. She'd been asking about my new career, and I wanted to show her I was doing well. The withdrawal request got stuck in processing status. 1 day turned into 3 days. 3 days turned into a week. A week turned into 2 weeks. Derek said it was normal. The platform was being extra careful with security because of all the new money flowing in. Withdrawals were taking longer than usual, but my money was completely safe. But I wasn't feeling safe anymore. I was starting to feel scared. I started researching Crypto Vault Pro more carefully, really digging into the details I should have looked at before putting my money there. The company registration, the team behind it, the regulatory compliance they claimed to have. That's when I found the forum posts. People talking about problems with withdrawals. People saying they couldn't access their accounts. People asking if anyone had actually gotten their money out. People asking if it was a scam. I tried calling Derek. For the first time in our entire relationship, I called him directly instead of just messaging. The number was disconnected. I tried his backup number, also disconnected. I sent him messages on every platform we'd ever used. Telegram, Discord, WhatsApp, email, everything, nothing. I tried logging into Crypto Vault Pro. Account temporarily suspended pending security review. I tried their customer service chat. All representatives are currently busy. Your estimated wait time is 247 minutes. I waited. For over 4 hours, I sat there staring at that chat window, waiting for someone to help me. Nobody ever came. I tried their phone number. The number you have dialed is not in service. That's when it really hit me, the full weight of what had happened. I wasn't a crypto genius. I wasn't a savvy investor. I wasn't even a trader. I was a mark, a victim, a complete fool. $268,000 gone. My life savings, my inheritance from my dad, my house, all gone. I sat in my kitchen at 2 a.m, staring at my laptop screen, hitting refresh over and over again. Maybe it was just a technical problem. Maybe the website was down for maintenance. Maybe Derek was dealing with a family emergency. Maybe I was having a nightmare, and I'd wake up soon. But the error messages didn't change. The website didn't come back online. Derek never called back. I was broke. Worse than broke. I owed $200,000 on a house I couldn't afford, and I had no way to pay it back. I'd gambled everything on a dream, and I'd lost. The foreclosure notice arrived 4 months later. I'd been trying everything I could think of. I contacted lawyers, but they all wanted retainers I couldn't afford. I filed reports with the FBI, the FTC, the SEC, anyone who would listen. I spent countless hours on the phone with bank representatives, begging for extensions, payment plans, anything. Nobody could help me. The scam was too sophisticated, too international, too anonymous. Derek wasn't even Derek. Crypto Vault Pro wasn't even a real company. It was all fake. Professional looking, convincing fake, but fake nonetheless. I had to sell everything of value I owned. My car, my furniture, my dad's tools, everything. I managed to scrape together about $18,000, a drop in the bucket compared to what I owed. The day I had to leave the house, I walked through every room one last time. The kitchen where my mom taught me how to make scrambled eggs. The living room where my dad and I watched football every Sunday. The bedroom where I'd spent countless hours dreaming about being rich. I thought about my dad, about how proud he was when he finally paid off the mortgage, about how he wanted to leave me something, a foundation to build my life on. And I'd thrown it all away, chasing numbers on a screen, trusting a stranger on the internet, believing in something that was too good to be true. I loaded my remaining possessions into my brother's pickup truck and drove away from the only home I'd ever known. I've been living with my brother Mark for 10 months now, sleeping on his couch, trying to rebuild my life from absolutely nothing. Mark's been good about it. He doesn't ask too many questions, doesn't make me feel like more of a failure than I already do. But I can see it in his eyes sometimes. The disappointment. The confusion about how his little brother could be so stupid. I got a job at another auto shop across town, back to fixing cars, getting my hands dirty, earning $42 an hour. The guys there don't know my story. They think I'm just some mechanic who moved to town for a fresh start, if they only knew. I've learned a lot about cryptocurrency scams since then. Way more than I ever wanted to know. About how they work, how they target people, how they exploit basic human psychology. The fake testimonials are generated by AI. The successful trades are fabricated. The professional-looking websites are templates that anyone can buy for a few $100s. Even the video calls with Derek were probably fake. Deep fake technology is so good now that you can't tell the difference between a real person and a computer-generated one. It's all designed to make you feel special, to make you feel like you're getting access to exclusive information, like you're finally getting the opportunity that everyone else missed. But you're not getting an opportunity. You're getting played. These people are professionals. They study psychology. They understand human weakness. They know exactly what to say to bypass your common sense. They prey on people like me. People who are tired of being stuck in the same place. People who want something better for their families. People who are willing to take risks for a chance at a better life. People who are desperate enough to mortgage their future for a fantasy. Look, I'm not sharing this mess of a story because I want you to feel sorry for me. Hell no. I'm sharing it because maybe, just maybe, it'll stop you from doing something equally stupid. Here's what I wish someone had told me 3 years ago. Getting rich quick is a fantasy. Those secret trading methods, they don't exist. Those insider opportunities, they're bait. Those guaranteed returns, they're lies wrapped in fancy marketing. Everyone selling you a dream is really selling you a nightmare. You know what actual wealth building looks like? It's mind-numbingly boring. It's putting $50 a month into some index fund and forgetting about it for 30 years. It's driving your car until it dies instead of upgrading every 2 years. It's saying no to expensive dinners so you can say yes to compound interest. Nobody makes YouTube videos about that stuff because it's not sexy. There's no drama in consistent, boring investing. No quick wins to screenshot and brag about. But that boring stuff actually works. Now look, I'm not here to trash all cryptocurrency. Some of it's legitimate. Bitcoin's been around for over a decade now. Ethereum powers actual applications. But they're volatile as hell, and predicting their prices is like trying to predict the weather 6 months out. And here's the kicker. The crypto space is absolutely infested with con artists. Smart ones. Ones who know exactly how to push your buttons and make you feel like you're finally getting your shot at the big leagues. These people study human psychology like it's their job, because it is their job. They know you're tired of being broke. They know you want something better for your family. They know you're willing to take risks if the payoff seems big enough. And they use all of that against you. When someone shows up promising guaranteed profits with zero risk, that's your cue to walk away. When they want you to borrow money to invest, that's your cue to run. When they make you feel like you're special, like you're getting access to something exclusive, that's your cue to sprint in the opposite direction. I didn't do any of that. I stuck around for the whole show. And now I'm sleeping on my brother's couch. I'm putting the pieces back together, one paycheck at a time. Been 10 months since I moved in with Mark. and I'm finally starting to see a path forward. Not a fast path, not an exciting path, but a real one. Every 2 weeks, I take whatever I can spare from my paycheck and put it somewhere safe. Sometimes it's only $20. Sometimes it's $100 if I pick up extra shifts. I opened a Roth IRA with Vanguard, put money into their total stock market index fund. Nothing fancy, nothing exciting, just steady, boring growth. I also started seeing a financial advisor. Found this guy Dave through a nonprofit credit counseling service. He doesn't charge much, doesn't try to sell me anything, just helps me make a plan. We meet once a month, go over my budget, talk about goals, small goals, realistic goals, like saving up enough for a security deposit on my own apartment, like building an emergency fund so I never have to sleep on someone's couch again. But I'm also doing something else with my experience, something that actually makes me feel useful instead of just stupid. I volunteer at the community center now, helping them run financial literacy workshops. Nothing formal, just sharing what I learned the hard way. Last month, I talked to a group of seniors about phone scams. Week before that, I helped a young couple understand the difference between legitimate investments and get-rich-quick schemes. There's this one lady, Mrs. Rodriguez, who almost lost her Social Security check to some fake IRS scam. She said listening to my story helped her recognize the warning signs, made her realize that even smart people can get fooled if the scammer knows which buttons to push. That felt good. Better than any Bitcoin gain I ever had. The scam artists are getting more sophisticated every day. They're using AI to create fake testimonials, deep fake videos of celebrities endorsing their schemes, fake news articles to make their scams seem legitimate. They're targeting people on social media, in their email, through dating apps. They're probably targeting you right now, in ways you don't even realize. But here's what I've learned. The best defense against these predators isn't intelligence or education. It's skepticism. It's that voice in your head that says, "This sounds too good to be true," when someone promises you easy money. Listen to that voice. Trust that voice. It's trying to save you from people like Derek. The hardest part about losing everything isn't the money. It's not even losing the house, as crazy as that sounds. It's looking at yourself in the mirror and realizing you're not who you thought you were. For months after this happened, I couldn't sleep. I'd lie on Mark's couch at 3 a.m, replaying every decision, every red flag I ignored, every moment I could have walked away, but didn't. I kept thinking about my dad, about how he'd worked double shifts at the factory just to make an extra mortgage payment, how proud he was the day he burned that final payment stub in the backyard, how he'd always told me that anything worth having was worth working for, and I'd thrown all of that away for what? For numbers on a screen that were never real in the first place. The shame was crushing, still is sometimes, but I'm learning to carry it differently now. Instead of letting it destroy me, I'm using it as fuel. Because here's what I figured out. Wanting more isn't wrong. Working toward a better life isn't wrong. Taking calculated risks isn't wrong. What's wrong is letting desperation make you stupid. What's wrong is trusting strangers with your future. What's wrong is believing that wealth comes from anything other than hard work and smart decisions over time. I meet people now who are exactly where I was 3 years ago, tired of being broke, looking for their big break, vulnerable to anyone who promises them an easy way out. And I see myself in every one of them. If you're struggling financially right now, I get it. If you're tired of watching other people succeed while you're stuck in the same place, I've been there. If you're tempted by some opportunity that sounds too good to be true, I understand that temptation. But please learn from my mistakes instead of making your own. There are legitimate ways to build wealth. There are real opportunities to improve your life. There are actual experts who can help you create a plan that works. You don't need to risk everything on a stranger's promise. You don't need to mortgage your future for a fantasy. You're worth more than that. And if you've already made mistakes like mine, if you've already fallen for something you shouldn't have, you're not alone either. We're all just people trying to figure it out, trying to do better, trying to learn from our failures. The difference is what we do next. Tell me your story in the comments. Maybe you almost fell for a scam, but something stopped you. Maybe you did fall for one and you're trying to rebuild. Maybe you're sitting there right now, wondering if that investment opportunity in your inbox is real or not. Whatever your story is, share it. Let's learn from each other. Let's help each other avoid the traps that are waiting for all of us. Because the scammers are counting on us to stay quiet, to stay ashamed, to stay isolated. Let's prove them wrong.